What's up, YouTube? It's Anthony Castillo with you guys. So here is another talk with you guys. So this one's kind of on the conceptual side of things. Kind of a cool idea right here too. But anyways, spiritual metrics. Here's something that I think it's important to take notice about: the measurement of our improvements. So I just started to recognize that freedom of expressions often come with, taking notice of our daily efforts and how we've showed up in our daily efforts, and like take it for instance, like just productivity and just overall numbers of things that we've got done in a day and how we integrate our own metrics of improvement. I know a lot of us probably have a journal. Some of us take notice of just positive affirmations, looking at ourselves thoroughly on key performances of our key performance indicators, of how we take notice if we are improving or not. And I think there's lots of science that does back up the proper understanding of what we say to ourselves. I think I even find how YouTube, for instance, has been such a platform for many of us to use to take notice of how we're showing up to our own platforms. And for me, this channel is all about uplifting. This channel is always about learning how to find certain indicators possibly that might not be, something. If something is struggling there, then it's good to then find a solution possibly, maybe through a freedom of expression, either through a type of narrative, or I was looking at my other PowerPoints and I was thinking, oh my God, you know what? Maybe I should be a little more, I should not beat myself up more, because it's good to take notice of small things. I mean, you think about a data analyst or a person that focuses on business analytics, and they are, or even research analysts, like they have to really look at the small details of certain things, especially if they're, like, let's say, looking at large sums of data, or maybe even a small aggregated amount of data. And I'm thinking, like, they have to take notice of the small things, and I think it's important that when we're noticing small things in life, we can be proud of ourselves. I think, spiritually speaking, we need to measure small metrics of, we see small goals, we see our larger goal, and perhaps that small, larger goal, and then the dream is that we got to be willing to find a metrics of improvement. And some of us are blinded by that, possibly. Sometimes I don't want to get involved with those. Sometimes religion and maybe even politics kind of gets us into, like, away from the humanitarian, like the human in us, basically, at times. The human in a lot of us don't see that there are people improving. And if we can't see the smallest things, when I was at the hospital, we were actually I remember taking care of patients, and we were often required to or trained to make sure that we notice the small things that are improvement, because for a mental health patient out there, it's going to have a different type of mentality. And because very skilled nurses and very skilled advanced just medical professionals had to make notice that small things can drive a person to notice it and actually compound that more, because we're driven. I mean, our brains are so always driven by looking at the wrong in life. And because we look at that too much, then it just becomes a blueprint, and it's not healthy at times. And we need to make I do believe we have to find a spiritual metric to find the smallest improvement. The smallest improvement can make a cascade or be a catalyst for us to move forward. And we need to be more spiritually interested in those things, Because if we're interested in always the wrong stuff in life, pointing out the wrong, this is basically what it looks like. We're always in the dark. And we don't want that. We want to be having some kind of like authentic view in life. And if some of us don't notice it, I've always been grateful that, having a sense of encouragement in a person's life, in other people, in yourself, even in the workforce, when whatever job you're working or something like that, like showing appreciation for others, just showing appreciation changes your energy. And also sometimes deflects the wrong kind of energy that we don't want. We want to deflect the wrong energy, and we want to look more deeply, saying, we're good. People can improve. We can improve. Take small steps, and we can move forward, no matter how small it is, because the smallest part of it is like analyzing a smallest data point that, a lot of us have to take notice of. Because when we really look at data points, we look at it like even on a graph, a scatter plot, and we look at one single data point that's so far out, and we think, hey, that data point is going up, it's moving, it's getting better. And we just focus too much on like the down, because some of us need hope. And I do believe with spirituality, and also trusting God and trusting faith, that it is possible. Like I do believe it's possible to use spiritual metrics to move us in the direction we want to go, which is improve. Anyways, guys, I wanted to just leave you with that, because I do believe that if we stay like we're moving, we're improving, and not going this way, we can get there. I do believe that. So remember to subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya.